How's it going, everyone? Hope you guys are all having a great day. So today we're going to be doing a long-awaited video. Now this truck has been needing a C-notch for the longest time. I guess you can call it a step notch. A C-notch would be just a little C cut out of the frame. And we're going to be doing a step notch, but I'm going to be calling it a C-notch in the video just because I've always called it a C-notch. So I'm going to call it a C-notch, so don't correct me on that. Now in this video, I'm going to be walking you guys through the steps that I'm going to be taking. Now obviously there's multiple approaches to doing a C-notch, and yes, you can buy some bolt-in ones, which was my original plan because it was the easiest, but I want to challenge myself, so I'm going to be doing the full C-notch from scratch. So what I mean by that is I'm going to cut all the material, weld it all up, weld the C-notch up, and then weld it into the frame. Now a bolt-on one would be a lot easier for a lot of you guys who just want to do it quick and simple. You just bolt it to the sides, drill some holes, and then you cut out the part that doesn't need to be there, and it's literally a done deal. So that's really simple and easy. You can probably knock that out in a day, but like I said, I want to do a bigger C-notch. Okay, so right here I have the practice C-notch that I was working on, and then right here I have the metal that I'm going to be using. This is 1/4 inch, and it's a 5-foot section. I got this for about $43. And the hardest part is just getting your measurements with angles and everything. And what I've been doing is getting cardboard and just kind of figuring out what I need. And then after that, then I did the actual C-notch kind of deal with thin metal and just tack that up. So now I think I got everything where I want it. And then now I'm just gonna get ready to cut this. But this is some pretty thick stuff. Normally you'd want to use like 3/16, but I opted it'd be better just to use 1/4 inch, even though it's gonna be way thicker and heavier. But if I ever plan on doing anything crazy with this truck, like building it in the future, then I know that this part will be the strongest point in the frame, and it'll be stronger than the original frame. And if I were to do 3/16, it would be equally as strong. So that's just why I'm doing it a little bit stronger. It doesn't hurt anything, and it'll just be stronger. Now that I have all the pieces cut out, I am going to be cleaning them, because obviously when you cut them, you can see all the burrs on there. So I'm going to be cleaning all that off, and then I'm going to be grinding the edges where I'm going to be welding into a V shape somewhat. So it's going to look, this isn't exactly what it's going to be, but it's going to look something like that. And instead of just welding on top, I want it to be somewhat like a V. So this, I'm gonna get the flap disc, clean this up, shave it down a little bit, shave this down, so that when you butt them up, it's essentially a little valley, so then you get a deeper penetration, which would make it stronger. Even though my welder could weld up to 1/4 inch, I just rather do that, just so I can get a nice big thick bead in there, and if I want I could throw another bead on top and then grind it all down, and it won't even look like it's welded, it'll look like it's a one piece. Man, this Harbor Freight weld is putting in work. Obviously, this didn't come out that nice. I was doing a nice bead and then the power went out. I'm obviously pushing it to its limits, but I'm really surprised that the Harbor Freight welder is keeping up. Like, this is some heavy duty stuff. This isn't. You can see right there where I had to stop and I started again on the cold bead. So that obviously ruined it. It was nice and hot, and then got cold, and then I had to start right there from cold, and then got warm again. So it sucks, but it's not really gonna matter. It's gonna be strong enough, more than strong enough. But yeah, I did this last night. I just did the bottoms. So I tacked it all up, and then I welded right here on the bottom, same with this one. Tacked it up, welded the bottoms, made sure everything worked, and then like I said, I welded this, and now I'm just welding up the sides. I removed the cross member was a little stuck. It didn't want to come out. So what I ended up doing is getting a jack, putting some wood under it, and the tabs that go down here, I ended up just bending them down. The welds on them actually broke. I don't know if you can see right there. So this is pretty much trash. That's why I just decided to ruin it, because I'm going to be making my own. And then now I'm going to be taking the exhaust off just to kind of free up some space, just so there's not so much stuff here. So it looks very messy right now. I'm still not done, but the frames on these trucks are like a C-channel, so all I've done so far is just cut the top piece off right here, so it's not like an angle iron in a sense. Just I'm just saying that for like reference. But I got this top piece cut out, and there was this piece right here for the shock, which came out to out here, so I just cut that off too. There was a lot of cutting. This was right here next to the frame, welded, like spot welded. So I took those little welds off and I bent this back. I just bent it back right now because this middle portion is going to be cut out, so it doesn't matter how that looks. And then I did the same with the back. This looks a little rough, but that's going to get cut off as well. So did the same back here, and now I got the C-notch right here. So this just goes like that. This is how I'm doing it, and then you just slide it in. And then I'm going to be welding back here, right here, down the bottom, a little bit right there, out here, and then once I cut this middle portion out, then I'll weld it right here. Here's a good shot at what it looks like. That's the original frame right here. I just cut on the top, slid it in, and that's how it's going to sit. And now I'm going to have roughly 5.5 inches, I think, is what I measured, of extra clearance, because as you can see, it's bottomed out on my frame, and there's not even a bed or a gas tank on here. So yeah, since it's already getting pretty late, I'm just gonna wait till tomorrow to finish grinding and welding everything. I just don't want to make too much noise for my neighbors with the grinder. So what I'm gonna do right now is, with the Sharpie, I'm just gonna go over everywhere that needs to be bare metal so I can get a good weld. So for example, right here, I already did a little bit. So I grinded the actual frame, but the C-notch itself still has the original coating it comes with, like that finish, just so it doesn't rust. So I'm gonna put a line right here, put a line over here, put a line on the back side, back here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna roughly, from where that line is, probably go 2 inches to the top, 2 inches to the bottom, just so I get a nice, good, clean surface. And obviously I know I'm gonna have to clean these down, so that's why I'm not gonna mark these. Got the C-notches in place, they're ready to be welded, everything's grinded down. I measured more than a few times just to make sure everything was squared away, from the back to here, from there to there, from the top, everything. So now they're pretty much identical. And yeah, this is kind of one of those things that it's important to, you know, that saying, measure twice, cut once, just because this is like part of your frame and it's got to be straight and everything like that. So yeah, this is all nice and straight. The frame is straight. The frame didn't bend at all, because I did leave that rear cross member in there. That one's pretty thick. It's got it's mounted 2 places over there and 2 places over here. So this thing is nice and squared away. Now I'm going to weld these in. It's now all welded up. All I need to do is cut the existing frame right here in the center, right there, and right here, but everything else is nice and welded. But before I do that, I'm just going to do this temporary cross member, since I removed the original one right here. And I can't really install this one because it's a different configuration. And I'm pretty sure I could somehow manage to fit that on. since that's meant for a 4-inch thick frame, which that's what I did, 4-inch thick, or 4-inch tall I should say. What I'm going to do right now is just get this tube, and I think I measured it at 38 inches, yeah, 38 inches exactly. So I'm going to go 38 and a 16th, just a little bit more, so I can hammer it in nice and tight, and then I'm just going to tack weld it. I'm not going to be running this setup. So for those who know, eventually I do plan on doing a 4-link and most likely a coilover setup. Not really into the whole bag things, but I do want to test out a few things before I go to that route. So in order to mount coilovers on the rear end, you have to make custom cross members. So that's why I'm waiting on that, because I still don't know what kind of coilovers I'm going to get and how I'm going to route it. I could do them in the front, I could do them in the rear, I could do them laying down. There's just a bunch of different ways to do it. So right now I'm just going to get this. I'm going to do some small weld just around where it's easy access. So if I need to cut it out, I could just cut it out, cut the welds off, cut the cross member out, and it'll look exactly like this, and then I can go from there and go do what I need to do. But for now, this is just a temporary thing, just so the frame doesn't collapse. I know this is not the test that it's actually going to be seeing in the views, but I got the hammer, I hit it on the sides as hard as I could, I kicked it as hard as I could just to see if there's any flex or anything, and they're actually very strong. This part right here is stronger than anything else on the frame, because the frame is pretty much a C-channel, and I put a pretty much boxed frame portion right here on the C-notch, so this should be a lot thicker than the frame and stronger. There it is, guys. It's pretty much done. You can see the nice C-notch. So from factory, the bottom of the factory frame rail to the bottom of the C-notch, it's about 5.5 inches. Originally I wanted to do 4 inches. I was going to do it right above the frame, but after looking at it, I ended up just saying, you know what, screw it, I'll do another 1.5 inches extra and it'll be good. I know there's people that do really crazy C-notches that are like all the way up here, but in my opinion there's no need for that, because at the way my truck is set up with these 15-inch wheels, my frame is going to bottom out before my axle even gets close to hitting the C-notch. And now this is about 3.5 inches from here to here, and it's the same thing. The frame's going to hit before that even hits the cross member. So none of this concerns me, but I do have to get the flop disc and clean off these rough edges right here. Originally I was going to grind down the welds and all that, but there's no need to grind them down. It's not a show truck, but just in case anybody wanted to see what the welds look like. So yeah, that's Harbor Freight gun for you. And I'm still learning, so take that in mind. But yeah, guys, so now what I have to do is I have to put the stock wheels back on, since these poke out quite a bit, because I believe they're like -40 or 50, something like that. Crazy offset with a 7-inch lip, which is just insane. If I had these on, and with how much it went lower, since you guys saw the last video, I did do the mono leaf, so it's gonna sit right on the tread of the tire, and it's not even gonna be able to be drivable. So that's why I'm going to be putting these on and then flaring out the bed, just like I did a long time ago, just flaring it out even more. That way these can fit. And I'm pretty sure that I'm finally able to achieve my goal of fender to lip in the rear. The front is pretty close to it, but the subframe or the cross member is just really low to the ground, so I might take that off and cut it in half and shorten it, just because it hits on literally everything and it's really annoying. In the rear, got this all situated, so hopefully the bed is somewhere right here, because before it was right here, like right on the corner of the tread and the sidewall. It was right here, so it should be at least right here. Maybe not fender to lip, but at least it's got to be at least as low as my front, if not lower. But yeah, I'll be making more videos on that. I also got to cut the bed, so I got to measure everything up and then cut the bed. I think I'm just gonna, for now, I'm just gonna cut the bed and leave this just exposed, because there's no reason to cover it, since I don't really use this truck to haul anything, so nothing's gonna be falling in there. And dirt and dust and water comes up from the bottom and up in the inside, it doesn't matter because the bed that I have is all messed up. So that's not a big deal. Thank you guys for making it this far into the video. I know it was a pretty long video, but I just really wanted to make it in-depth and show you guys all the steps that I took to doing this, just so you guys can get more of an idea of what it's actually like to do a C-notch. So if I could do this in my garage, in my driveway, as you guys can see, then you guys can do this. You don't need a fancy shop, you don't need a lift, you don't need any special equipment besides a welder and an angle grinder, and that's pretty much all you need. So that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it and found it useful. And if you guys have any questions, leave them down in the comment section below and I'll answer them to the best of my ability. But with that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, guys.